Hey traders, I hope everyone had a good weekend. Starting off with the Daily Spy here for the watch list video for the last day in January, January 31st, 2022, Monday. All right, so the Spy couldn't shake off Apple's good news. The markets showed a lot of weakness lately, but Apple's earnings report seemed to prop up everything. And so a very strong day in the Spy. We're back up to the top of its range from the past week. I have no idea what to expect next week, but I'm going to do what I always do and start with a watch list and trade on an intraday basis on setups that we, A+ setups that we look for. So having said that, what are we watching? INDO is a little bit of a weird one, but I had this crazy move on Thursday and then on Friday gave back a chunk of it, but still kind of an inside day. So I am going to keep an eye on that one, but I certainly don't love it. TSM is Taiwan Semiconductor. Pretty beaten up for the last few days. It did bounce off of support, did not ever break its early high, so it never gave me kind of a bounce play entry, so I'm going to put it right back on bounce watch for Monday. Can't type tonight. Lucid Motors kind of falling straight almost for a week, maybe a little bit more than a week, and you always look to the left, and you certainly got some support in this area, so looking for a potential bounce in LCID. Whoops, I typed that wrong. WAL. Couple big down days in a row. Again, look to the left. Pretty nice support in this 95 area, and then even maybe a little better in 90. So, if an initial sell-off down to 90, it'd probably be one of my favorite potential bounce plays if we get a setup. But certainly goes on bounce watch for that reason. DWAC seems to have kind of found support at the 20-day. The other day, it kind of met my parameters. I think it was maybe here. And quickly failed and never took out the high of day again. And I'll keep trading stuff as long as I'm making money on it. And when the passion starts to wane, then I sort of step away from it for a while. It might have been this day because it broke the early high here and failed again. So really, look at it, 2 days in a row. DWAC had been on fire, right? So 2 days in a row back here, it broke the high and failed, broke the high and failed. So unfortunately, I didn't mess with it here when it broke the high. It would have been a decent little trade. But it kind of looked like it was rolling over again, and then kind of has a strong close. You could say, well, maybe the overall market did that. I don't know, but they've got some news, or they have an event, whatever you want to call it, coming up in February. And I think it's maybe a few weeks into February, but I don't know. I'd be scared to short this because of headline risk going forward here. So anyway, back to the daily, the fact that it, and we really did well on it back here, right? Anyway, the fact that it held the 20-day, had a strong close, it's kind of becoming back on my stocks of interest list, right? AFRM, I actually called this in chat on a break of the early high was right there, break of the early high, and it had a really big move there. And I like the strong close, and they did have nice news last week on some kind of partnership with debit cards and Visa. So big news on a beaten up stock, kind of at support too, back here, and then again here. It might be up from here, so that one goes back on long watch. TKLF, really ugly daily, but biggest volume it's ever had was Friday. Now, I've had this on bounce watch for several days. I'm a little annoyed that it did this. Let me show you 5-minute candles. Gap down a little bit and just ran. Straight, big volume. I mean, maybe had I noticed the volume, I might have tried to get involved, but to me, it never gave a great setup. It just ran. I like a morning red to green on something like that. Anyway, suffice it to say, really big volume on Friday, so we might get a follow-through of that bounce. Keep in mind, this thing was over 40 bucks, and now it's trading in the threes, so certainly worth keeping an eye on. HOUR, feels like nobody's watching this thing, but I've had it on bounce watch for a few days. It did end up giving a green candle. I never did trade it on Friday. But it did that on only 192,000 shares. So you could easily argue this doesn't deserve to be on the list. But I've been watching it so many days, I'm going to keep it on a chart, right? AMD, another chip stock, bounced right off of that $100 area we talked about. It actually went below it and then gave it again, another one I'm embarrassed to say I had on the watch list and never took advantage of the 100 break. I think I was just trading something else at the time. But a nice strong close off of support. So that's another one that goes on long watch for a continuation of that bounce. BBBY is Bed Bath & Beyond. Still just seems to be trying to form a bottom here. Nice volume on Friday, so I'm going to put that back on long watch. KSCP has only been trading for 2 days. But man, it had a crazy strong bounce. it gave a nice trade if someone was quick enough in the afternoon. I actually did get a decent trade in this one, but I'll tell you what, this thing halted right before the closing bell. And this is another thing that I screwed up. When you get something like this and then you get a halt right before the closing bell, I'm talking about a volatility halt, and it's squeezing and the closing bell is coming, more often than not, when that opens after hours, it usually opens right after the closing bell, or right after the closing bell, it usually reopens in after hours. That's a high probability long if you can catch it, and I'm going to actually show you after hours. And I did not trade this, by the way, but that's a high. Let me try to figure out. All right, should be right there. That was the halt at 16:07. So then the closing bell rings and it opens at 16:29 and immediately rips to almost 20. So that's my point. You had shorts in trouble. They had no time to cover. It halted. So in after hours, that's when they're going to cover. And in my brain, I was thinking, I bet this runs in after hours. But you had to make a split-second decision when it came out of the halt in after hours. But anyway, it ended up even going up way higher. And I would have stuck around because I thought shorts were in trouble to maybe trade like this flag break or something. But I had things to do. So there you go. Having said that, it's only been trading for a couple days and had a massive squeeze on Friday, so we're going to keep it on watch, all right? And lastly, SIDU doesn't look like much, kind of an ugly daily chart, but on Thursday it ran from 8:04 to 11:15. That's a big move. And then on Friday, put in a quiet inside day, so I'm looking for a potential third day play there. All right, I'm done babbling. I'll see you guys in the chat room in the morning.